Elias Cade had learned to trust quiet. In deep space, silence usually meant safety. Explosions made noise. Engines made noise. Pirates made noise. But the empty stretch beyond the outer trade lanes was calm, dark, and still. That was why Elias worked there, flying alone in his small salvage ship, moving from forgotten wreck to forgotten wreck, collecting what the galaxy had left behind. His ship, the Wayfarer, drifted slowly as its scanners swept the void. Most days brought nothing more than dead metal and old memories. Elias was used to that. He preferred it. No commands, no fleets, no flags, just him, his ship, and the long stars. Then the silence broke. A weak signal flickered across his console. It was faint, broken, and almost lost in cosmic noise. Elias leaned forward, frowning. Distress signals were rare this far out. Ships did not come here unless they were hiding or already dying. The signal repeated. Old code, not human. Elias checked his charts. The location was close to a dead star, its light long gone. Sensors showed a mass of twisted metal drifting near its gravity well. A wreck. Strange place to crash, Elias muttered. He should have ignored it. Salvage law did not require rescue beyond the core systems, and alien politics were never simple. But the signal was still active. That meant someone was alive. Elias sighed and adjusted course. The Wayfarer moved closer, lights cutting through darkness. The wreck came into view slowly, revealing a large alien cruiser torn open like a broken shell. Hull plates were peeled back. Scorch marks covered the surface. No power, no weapons online. This wasn't an accident, Elias said softly. He matched speed and brought his ship alongside the wreck. No movement, no defense systems. Just death and silence. Elias sealed his suit and moved through the airlock. His boots touched alien metal as he entered the shattered cruiser. Inside, the air was thin but breathable. Emergency lights flickered weakly. The ship had been attacked. That much was clear. Burn patterns showed precise strikes, not random damage. Someone had wanted this ship gone. Elias followed the distress signal deeper inside. He stepped over fallen debris and past empty corridors marked with symbols he did not recognize. The place felt wrong. Too quiet. Too clean. No signs of panic. No bodies. At last, he reached a sealed chamber. The door had been forced open from the outside. Inside, he found her. She lay against the far wall, breathing shallowly. Her skin was pale blue, marked with thin lines that glowed faintly. She was humanoid, with long dark hair spread across the floor. Her clothes were torn, but they were finely made, woven with patterns that shifted when the light hit them. Elias froze. He had seen many aliens before, but something about her presence felt different. Not fragile, despite her injuries. Not helpless. There was a quiet strength in the way she held herself. Even now, she opened her eyes. They were silver. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then she tried to stand and failed. Pain crossed her face, but she made no sound. Easy, Elias said, raising his hand slowly. I'm not here to hurt you. She studied him carefully, not afraid, measuring. You are human, she said. Her voice was weak but clear. Her accent was unfamiliar, but her words were perfect. Yes, Elias replied. Name's Elias. I picked up your signal. She nodded once, as if confirming something to herself. I am Era, she said after a pause. Elias could tell it was not the full truth. But he did not push. You're hurt, he said. This ship isn't safe. I can take you with me. Her eyes flickered, and for a brief second, something like fear showed through her calm mask. No, she said quickly. You must not stay. Others will come. Others? Elias asked. She looked away. They will not show mercy, she said quietly. That was enough for Elias. He moved closer and activated his medical scanner. Her injuries were serious but treatable. Internal damage. Energy burns. She should have been dead. You won't survive here, he said. Whatever is coming, I can move faster than they expect. She hesitated. For the first time, uncertainty touched her voice. You do not know what you risk. Elias smiled slightly behind his helmet. Story of my life. He helped her to her feet and guided her back toward the wayfarer. She leaned on him, lighter than he expected. Her movements were controlled, careful, like someone trained never to show weakness. Once aboard his ship, Elias sealed the airlock and laid her on the med table. The ship's systems adjusted automatically, adapting to her biology faster than most human tech should have. Elias noticed her watching the process closely. You seem surprised, he said. Your technology is flexible, she replied. Most species are not. Elias shrugged. We make do. He worked quickly, applying medical foam and stabilizers. Her breathing steadied. Color returned to her skin. As she rested, Elias ran scans of the surrounding space. Long-range sensors showed faint energy trails several ships, days away, moving in wide patterns. Searchers, Elias cursed under his breath. He returned to the medbay. Era was awake, her silver eyes focused on him. They are looking for you, he said. Yes, she answered simply. Care to explain why? She was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was careful. If I tell you, you may choose to abandon me. Elias leaned back against the wall, crossing his arms. I already didn't, he said. So you might as well talk. Era studied him. Then she gave a small, almost sad smile. Very well, she said. But not all truths at once. She explained that her ship had been attacked from within her own territory, that the strike was planned, that her presence in this region was meant to be secret. I was betrayed, she said, by those sworn to protect me. Elias frowned. Sounds political. Yes, Era replied, and politics kill more surely than weapons. He nodded. He understood that more than most. Who are they? He asked. The ones coming. She met his gaze. They are hunters, she said. And if they find me, they will not stop with my death. Number. Elias felt a chill. Why? Because, she said softly, I am a symbol. Elias let out a slow breath. He had rescued smugglers, refugees, even criminals before. Never a symbol. Well, he said, straightening. Then we won't let them find you. Her eyes widened slightly. You would oppose them? She asked. For a stranger? Elias smiled again, this time more firmly. For a life, he said. That's enough. Alarms sounded suddenly on the bridge. Elias rushed forward. Long-range scanners lit up with new contacts. The hunters had found the wreck. They're closer than I thought, Elias muttered. He powered up the Wayfarer's engines. The ship hummed, then roared to life. Era watched from the medbay, her expression unreadable. Once we jump, Elias said over the intercom. There's no going back. She closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, there was resolve there. Then jump, she said. Elias engaged the drive. Space folded. Stars stretched into lines of light. The Wayfarer vanished just as hostile sensors locked onto its last position. In the sudden quiet of hyperspace, Elias leaned back in his chair, heart pounding. He had no idea who Era truly was. He did not know that the woman resting behind him wore an unseen crown. And he did not know that one day, the galaxy would remember this moment as the beginning of a story written in sacrifice, courage, and humanity's quiet defiance. But for now, he had made a choice, and the stars were watching. Hyperspace was never truly quiet. The Wayfarer's engines created a low, steady hum, like a distant storm held back by thin walls. Elias sat in the pilot's chair, eyes moving between the navigation display and the warning systems. He did not relax. Not yet. Behind him, in the medbay, Era rested. Her breathing was steady now, but her presence felt heavy, as if the ship itself knew she was important. Elias checked the scanners again. No pursuit, for now. He stood and walked back to the medbay. Era was awake, sitting up slowly. She watched him enter, her silver eyes calm but alert. You should rest, Elias said. I have rested enough, she replied. Hyperspace time passes differently for my people. That so? Elias said. Lucky. She tilted her head slightly. You sound tired. I am, he admitted. But it comes with the job. She looked around the small medbay, then at the narrow corridors beyond. You live like this? Alone? Most of the time, Elias said. It's simpler. Lonely, she said gently. Elias shrugged. Peaceful. She considered that, then nodded, as if accepting his answer. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Era spoke again. You should know something, she said. The hunters you escaped. They will not stop. I figured, Elias said. Nobody chases this hard for nothing. They believe my death will bring order, Era continued. They believe chaos will follow if I live. Elias frowned. That sounds backwards. Fear often is, she replied. Elias leaned against the wall. You said you were a symbol. What kind of symbol gets this kind of response? Era did not answer immediately. Her gaze drifted to the far wall. In my civilization, she said slowly, leadership is not just power. It is balance, tradition, continuity. Sounds heavy, Elias said. It is, she agreed. And when balance is threatened, those who fear change choose destruction instead. Elias studied her face. There was no pride in her words, no anger, only tired truth. You talk like someone who's carried that weight a long time, he said. I have, she replied softly. The ship gave a gentle shudder as it adjusted course. Elias glanced at the readouts. We'll drop out of hyperspace soon, he said. I need to refuel and mask our trail. Where will we go? Era asked. Elias smiled faintly. Somewhere no one important ever goes. They emerged into normal space, near a field of broken asteroids, surrounding an old mining outpost. The station was abandoned, its lights dead, its structure scarred by time and neglect. Elias guided the wayfarer into the shadow of a massive rock and powered down most systems. This place won't show up on active scans, he said. And even if it does, nobody looks twice. Era watched the station through the viewport. You hide well, she said. Humans learned that early, Elias replied. When you're smaller than everyone else, you adapt. As they waited, Era moved carefully around the ship, touching panels, watching displays. She asked questions about the engines, the navigation system, the ship's age. Elias answered as best he could. You built much of this yourself, she observed. Upgraded, repaired, rebuilt, Elias said. If it breaks, I fix it. If it doesn't exist, I make it. Era smiled slightly. That explains much. Explains what? He asked. Why your species is feared, she said. Elias laughed quietly. Feared? We're barely noticed. Not by those who look closely, Era replied. Their quiet moment ended when the scanners pulsed softly. Elias stiffened. That's not good. What is it? Era asked. Passive probes, he said. Long range. Someone's searching. Carefully. Era's expression hardened. They are adapting. Elias clenched his jaw. So do we. He began rerouting power, preparing to move again. As he worked, Era watched him closely. Why are you doing this? She asked suddenly. Elias paused. Doing what? Risking your life, she said. For me, he thought for a moment. I've seen what happens when people are abandoned, he said. Out here, if no one helps, you disappear. I don't like that. Era lowered her gaze. Where I come from, sacrifice is expected. But kindness without duty is rare. Well, Elias said, get used to rare. They jumped again. This time through a series of short, irregular hops. Each jump was slightly off-chart. Each exit masked by stellar noise. It was slow, careful work. Hours passed, then days. During that time, Era grew stronger. She no longer needed the med table. She walked the ship freely, her movements smooth and controlled. Yet Elias noticed something else. She listened more than she spoke, watching how he worked, how he made decisions. She was learning him. One cycle, as they shared a simple meal, Era finally spoke the truth Elias had been waiting for. "If I return to my people," she said quietly, "I will be judged." "Judged for what?" Elias asked. "For surviving," she answered. "For allowing myself to be rescued by a foreigner. For being seen as a weakness." Elias stared at her. "That's insane." "Perhaps," she said. "But the law is old, and old laws do not bend easily." "What happens if you're found guilty?" Elias asked, though he already suspected the answer. Era met his eyes. "I will be executed." The words hung in the air. Elias felt anger rise, sharp and sudden. "That's it? No appeal? No defense?" "There will be a trial," she said. "But it exists to make the ending appear fair." Elias stood and began pacing. "You saved lives, didn't you? Led people. Protected them." "Yes," she said. "And they repay you like this?" He shook his head. "That's not justice." Era's voice was calm. "It is order. They fear civil war more than they value one life." Elias stopped pacing and looked at her. "You don't," he said. She blinked. "I do not what?" "You don't fear death," he said. "You've already accepted it." Era was silent. "That's not strength," Elias continued. "That's resignation." Her eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in surprise. "You speak boldly," she said. "Someone has to," Elias replied. "If everyone accepts the ending, nothing ever changes." For the first time, doubt crossed her face. Before she could respond, alarms flared. "Contacts," Elias shouted, rushing to the bridge. Multiple ships appeared on the scanner far away, but closing. Their formation was wide, cautious. "They tracked us," Era said. "Not directly," Elias replied. "They predicted us." He set a new course, fingers flying across the controls. "They think like empires," he said. "Big, slow, confident." "And you?" Era asked. "I think like a survivor." The Wayfarer dove toward a dense star cloud, its sensors screaming as radiation spiked. Elias pushed the ship hard, skimming the edge of destruction. Enemy ships slowed, unwilling to follow too closely. Elias grinned tightly. "Told you." When they emerged on the other side, space was empty again. Era exhaled slowly. "You defy them with ease." "Not ease," Elias said. "Practice." She looked at him. Really looked at him. As if seeing something new. "Elias," she said softly. "If I ask you to take me home, knowing what awaits me, would you do it?" He did not answer right away. Finally, he said, "I won't carry you to your death." Her eyes widened slightly. "I will take you," he continued. "If you intend to fight for your life. Not if you plan to surrender it." Era felt something shift inside her. For the first time since her ship had burned, someone had refused her fate. "I do not know if I can win," she said. Elias smiled, steady and sure. "Humans rarely do," he said. "We just refuse to quit." The Wayfarer drifted onward through the stars, hunted and outmatched, carrying a queen who had forgotten hope and a human who had never learned to give it up. The stars ahead grew brighter and more crowded as the Wayfarer moved closer to the core systems. Traffic lanes appeared on the scanners, thin lines of ordered movement that only existed near powerful civilizations. Elias slowed the ship and dimmed its signature. This was dangerous space. Here, mistakes were noticed. Era stood beside him on the bridge. She wore simple clothing Elias had given her, plain and human-made, but she carried herself the same way she always had: calm, steady, alert. She no longer leaned on walls when the ship turned. Her strength had returned, though something else had changed as well. She asked more questions now. Not just about the ship, but about choices. "They will expect me to arrive with guards," Era said quietly. "With ceremony." "They won't get that," Elias replied. "They'll get a ghost." She looked at him. "You are certain this will work?" "No," Elias said honestly. "But certainty is overrated." He guided the wayfarer away from the main lanes and toward an older route, one that barely appeared on modern charts. The path was unstable, filled with gravity shifts and dead zones. Big ships avoided it. Empires hated places they could not control. Elias loved them. As they traveled, Era explained more about her world, not its secrets, but its rules. The council that governed in her absence. The old laws written after wars that had nearly destroyed her people. Laws meant to prevent chaos, even if they demanded sacrifice. They believe my death will calm the factions, she said. They believe it will save millions. And what do you believe? Elias asked. Era was quiet for a long time. I believe, she said slowly, that fear has ruled us for too long. The wayfarer dropped out of hyperspace near a gas giant wrapped in bright rings. Beyond it lay Era's home system. Dozens of defense platforms orbited the inner planets. Patrol ships moved in careful patterns. Elias studied the display. Heavy security. Yes, Era said. They will be watching for threats. Not for you. Good, Elias replied. Because I'm not one. He adjusted the ship's profile, masking it as a civilian transport with outdated codes. The wayfarer drifted forward, slow and harmless. A patrol ship moved closer, scanning. Elias kept his hands steady. Era watched the screen, her face unreadable. The patrol ship paused, then it moved away. Elias released a breath. Still got it. They approached the capital world from the shadow side, where the planet's curve blocked direct scans. Elias guided the wayfarer toward a small, unused docking ring near an old research sector. This area was abandoned after the last reforms, Era said. They never fully removed it. Old systems again, Elias said. Your people and mine have that in common. They docked quietly. No alarms, no attention. Inside the station, the air was clean and bright. Automated systems still worked, though slowly. Elias and Era moved through empty halls until they reached a transit hub. This is as far as I go openly, Elias said. Era turned to him. Once I reveal myself, events will move quickly. Good, Elias said. We don't want them thinking too much. She hesitated, then placed a hand on his arm. You have already done more than anyone could ask. Elias met her gaze. Not done yet. They separated briefly. Elias remained in the shadows, monitoring local networks through his portable console. Era stepped into the open transit chamber and activated a public channel. Her voice echoed through the space, calm and clear. I am Erelus of the Line of Dawn, she said. I return to claim my place and accept judgment. The reaction was immediate. Signals flared across the system. Ships altered course. Messages spread like fire. Within minutes, the capital world locked down. Elias watched in awe as ancient protocols activated, ones he could barely understand. She had not lied. She truly was a symbol. Guards arrived, not with weapons raised, but with formal posture. They escorted Era away, their faces controlled, unreadable. Elias followed from a distance, unseen. The trial chamber was vast, carved from white stone and living metal. Rows of council members filled the upper tiers. Their forms varied different shapes, different colors, but all watched the center with intense focus. Era stood alone. The charges were read. Survival without sanction. Association with an off-worlder. Return without summons. Elias clenched his fists. Era spoke calmly in her defense. She did not beg. She did not deny the laws. Instead, she spoke of responsibility, of the cost of fear, of what it meant to lead without courage. Some council members shifted uneasily, others remained stone still. Then came the question Elias had feared. Who aided your return? The lead counselor asked. Era's eyes flicked, just once, toward the shadows where Elias watched. A human, she said. A ripple moved through the chamber. A species with no standing in our law, the counselor said coldly. Then he is irrelevant. No, Era replied. Her voice grew stronger. He is the reason I stand here alive. The council demanded the human be brought forward. Elias stepped out before guards could move. He walked into the light, alone, wearing a worn jacket and no symbols at all. I'm Elias Cade, he said. Salvage pilot. Human. The chamber fell silent. You defied our hunters, the counselor said. You interfered in our justice. Elias shrugged. I rescued someone who needed help. You risked war, another voice said. I risked my ship, Elias replied. The war part was your choice. Murmurs spread. Era watched him, her expression a mix of concern and something like pride. The council withdrew to deliberate. Time stretched. When they returned, their decision was clear. Era would be executed. But there was an exception. She would be allowed one final act as queen. Era closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, she nodded. I accept, she said. Elias stepped forward. No. All eyes turned to him. You said this was about order, he said. About preventing chaos. Killing her won't do that. The counselor regarded him coolly. You do not understand our people. Maybe not, Elias said. But I understand fear. And I understand that killing the one person holding things together usually makes everything worse. Silence followed. Era turned to Elias. You must stop, she said softly. You have done enough. He shook his head. Not how humans work. She faced the council again. Then hear my final act. They allowed her to speak. Era straightened, her presence filling the chamber. No longer hiding. No longer restrained. As my final act, she said, I name humanity a protected ally. Any harm done to this human, or his kind, will be seen as a violation of my reign and my sacrifice. The council reacted sharply. This is unprecedented, one said. So is executing your queen, Era replied. Elias felt his chest tighten. Era. She looked at him. Elias, listen to me. Her voice softened, but did not weaken. You showed me something I had forgotten. That leadership is not about accepting death quietly. It is about choosing meaning. He took a step toward her. There has to be another way. Perhaps, she said. But this way ensures peace. And it ensures your people are safe. The council accepted her declaration. The law was satisfied. Elias felt helpless rage, but he did not move. He knew, somehow, that this choice was hers alone. As guards approached, Era held Elias's gaze. You refused my fate, she said. That mattered. She was led away. The chamber slowly emptied, leaving Elias standing alone in a place that suddenly felt very small. Outside, the sky above the capital world shimmered with energy. The system held its breath. The queen would die. And because of a human, the galaxy would never be the same. The chamber where Era was taken was quiet and bright. Built to honor endings, soft light flowed across smooth walls, and the air felt warm and calm, as if the place itself wished to ease the moment. Guards stood at a respectful distance. No chains, no force. This was not meant to look like punishment. It was meant to look like duty. Era walked with steady steps. Her head was held high. Fear did not rule her now. Choice did. Outside, across the capital world, news spread quickly. Some citizens felt relief. Others felt shock. Many felt shame. They had grown up hearing her name spoken with pride, and now they were told that her death would bring peace. Elias was not allowed to follow her inside. He stood in a wide corridor beyond the chamber doors. Fists clenched. Jaw tight. He had argued until words failed. He had demanded alternatives. None were given. He had saved her once. He could not save her again. Time moved slowly. Too slowly. Then the doors opened. Era stepped back into the light. She was no longer dressed in simple clothes. She wore ceremonial robes, woven with symbols of her people's history. They glowed faintly, alive with meaning. A crown rested on her head, thin and elegant, almost fragile. It was not heavy metal. It was memory. She walked toward the center platform where a single console waited. One action remained, one moment to speak. The chamber filled with observers, both present and distant. Screens activated across the system. This was not only an execution. It was a message. Era placed her hand on the console and began. My people, she said, her voice calm and clear. I stand before you as your queen. Not because I am perfect. Not because I am without fear, but because I chose to return. She paused, allowing the words to settle. I was given a chance to disappear, she continued. To fade into history and let others decide our future. I refused. Not because I wished to live at any cost, but because leadership demands presence. Murmurs spread through the chamber. For generations, Era said, we have chosen safety over courage, order over truth. We told ourselves it was necessary. Perhaps it was. Once. But fear has a way of becoming a habit. She turned slightly, her gaze finding Elias through the glass beyond the chamber. I was reminded of another way, she said. By a human. The word echoed. A species that does not rule empires, that does not command great fleets, yet survives by refusing to accept that fate is fixed. Elias swallowed hard. He did not know who I was, Era said. He did not ask what I could offer. He saw someone in need and chose to act. Not because law demanded it, not because reward awaited, but because compassion mattered more than comfort. The chamber was silent. As my final act, Era said, I ask you to remember this. Peace built on fear will always demand more blood. Peace built on courage creates hope. She took a slow breath. I accept the law, she said. But I do not accept the belief that my death is the end of this story. I accept the law. She pressed the console. Light surrounded her, gentle and bright. There was no pain, no struggle, only stillness. The queen was gone. Across the system, ships powered down. Weapons, systems stood down. Factions that had been ready to fight paused, uncertain. The sacrifice had done what the law promised, but it had also done something else. It had awakened doubt. Elias felt it when the light faded. A hollow space opened in his chest, deep and sharp. He did not cry. He stood still, because moving felt impossible. Guards approached him slowly. Their posture was no longer cold. You are free to leave, one said. Her decree stands. Elias nodded numbly. He returned to the Wayfarer alone. The ship felt different now, quieter, emptier. He sat in the pilot's chair for a long time without moving. Memories replayed in his mind. Her calm voice, her steady gaze. The moment she had chosen meaning over survival. Finally, he powered up the engines. As the Wayfarer lifted from the capital world, something unexpected happened. A single defense platform sent a brief signal. Not a warning, not a threat, a salute, then another, then many. Elias did not notice at first. He was too lost in thought. But when the scanner filled with respectful acknowledgments, he stared in disbelief. They remember you, he whispered. He jumped to hyperspace. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed in small, quiet ways. Trade routes between humanity and Era's people opened for the first time. Old restrictions were reviewed. Councils debated laws that had not been questioned in centuries. Some resisted. Change always met resistance. But Era's name was spoken often, not as a warning. As a reminder, Elias returned to salvage work. He tried to go back to the life he knew. But word spread. Humans were no longer invisible. He was contacted by diplomats, by explorers, by leaders who wanted to understand why a single human had altered the balance without firing a shot. Elias refused most offers. He was not a hero. He was a man who had made a choice. Years passed. On a distant world near the border between their civilizations, a monument was built. It showed two figures standing side by side. One was clearly alien, crowned and proud. The other was human, wearing a simple jacket, hands at his sides. No weapons, no thrones, just equals. Children from many species visited the site. Guides told the story carefully, without exaggeration. They said a queen once chose courage. They said a human once refused to walk away. They said that sometimes, the greatest strength was not power, but compassion. Elias visited the monument once. He stood before it in silence, older now, his hair touched with gray. He placed a hand on the stone. You did more than save me, he said quietly. You saved all of us. The stars above seemed brighter that day, and somewhere in the vast, uncaring universe, humanity was no longer seen as small. They were seen as the species that taught a queen how to defy fear. And the galaxy remembered.